Vancouver. The very name paints a postcard in the mind. Majestic, snow-capped mountains dipping into a deep blue sea, evergreen forests framing a sleek, glassy skyline. A city that promises a harmonious balance between untamed wilderness and cosmopolitan polish. For decades, it has sold itself, and been sold to the world, as a monument to natural beauty and livability. A green city, a lotus land. But scratch the glossy surface of this postcard, and a radically different, far more opulent and ruthless image emerges. This is no longer just a city of beauty. It is a global billionaire's fortress, a safe deposit box in the cloud with a view, where the world's ultra-wealthy are engaged in a silent, multi-hundred-million-dollar arms race to build monuments not to art or community, but to privacy, security, and capital preservation. The mansions they build are not homes. They are statements of sovereign escape, and they are fundamentally rewriting the DNA of what was once considered Canada's gentle, West Coast paradise. The journey into this new realm of hyperluxury begins not in the well-known enclaves of Shaughnessy or Kerrisdale, but on the liquefied natural gas money that first supercharged the city's property market. In the late 20th and early 21st centuries, colossal wealth from Alberta's oil sands and British Columbia's resource sectors began flowing into Vancouver real estate, buying up view lots and building expansive, if traditionally opulent, homes. But this was merely the prelude. The main act commenced with the great flood of capital from Asia, particularly mainland China, starting in the late 1990s and accelerating exponentially after 2010. This wasn't just about immigration. It was about the strategic diversification of assets by a newly minted billionaire class seeking a stable, beautiful, and politically safe harbor for their fortunes. Vancouver, with its strong rule of law, excellent education, direct flights to Asia, and crucially, a historical absence of questions about the source of wealth became the perfect vault. This influx triggered a tectonic shift in the very concept of a mansion. The old money elite of Vancouver, descendants of timber and railroad barons, built large, dignified, often British-inspired homes nestled discreetly behind mature hedges. Their wealth whispered. The new wealth screams in a whisper. It builds not for the street, not for the neighborhood, but for itself and the panoramic view. The architectural style is international billionaire modern. Vast, low-slung geometric forms of concrete, glass, and steel, appearing as minimalist fortresses. They are designed by star-architect firms from London, New York, or Shanghai, not local Vancouver practices. The goal is not to blend in, but to create a self-contained world so breathtaking that the outside world ceases to exist. To understand the next level, one must move beyond the generic descriptors of square footage and examine the psychology and infrastructure embedded in these compounds. Let's deconstruct the anatomy of a Vancouver billionaire mansion. 1. The invisible wall, privacy as the ultimate luxury. In a city where even average homes lack window coverings, fearing to block the coveted view, the billionaire estate turns inward. The lot is first and foremost a buffer zone. Properties are purchased not for the house footprint, but for the land around it. Neighboring lots are bought and cleared to create breathing room or to prevent anyone from building a structure that could compromise sightlines. Landscaping is not about gardens, but about optical and acoustic screening. Mature trees are transplanted at great expense to create instant forests. Berms, man-made hills, are constructed to block sight and sound. The mansion itself is often sunken into the site or designed with frosted glass, slatted screens, and strategic overhangs so that from the outside, one sees only a monolithic sculpture. From the inside, the outside world is a flawless IMAX film. The message is clear. You cannot see me, but I own the view you wish you had. 2. The command bunker, technology and security. Beyond the visual privacy lies a layer of security that would impress a head of state. These are smart homes in the most literal Orwellian sense. Systems are often triple redundant. Facial recognition and license plate readers guard gated entrances that are themselves several hundred meters from the main house. Motion sensors are layered. Perimeter fences, then zones within the garden, then the exterior walls of the house itself. Drone detection systems are not uncommon. The panic room is a given, but it has evolved into a safe suite, a hardened, self-contained apartment within the home with independent power, communications, and air supply. Network security is paramount, with dedicated, isolated servers and anti-cyber intrusion systems to protect not just financial data, but the control of the home's own ecosystem. Imagine a hacker turning off your security or locking you in your own wine cellar. 3. The amenities arms race, beyond the home theater. The standard luxury amenities, pool, spa, cinema, are considered quaint starter features. The next level is about installing specialized, commercial-grade facilities that eliminate the need to ever leave the compound. We are talking about private wellness clinics, not a home gym, but a full suite with cryotherapy chambers, infrared saunas, hyperbaric oxygen pods, and a treatment room for visiting physiotherapists and naturopaths. Climate-controlled automotive galleries. The 10-car garage is passé. The new standard is a showroom-style gallery with glass walls, humidity control, and hydraulic lift systems to display automotive art like Pagani's and vintage Ferraris as museum pieces. Ultra-premium entertainment pavilions. The home cinema is a Dolby Atmos theater with velvet recliners. The sports bar is a professional-grade screening room with a cigar humidor and a pour-your-own draft system for rare Belgian beers. Some estates in West Vancouver have private bowling alleys and indoor basketball courts with maple floors. The green status symbol. Sustainability is the new guilt-free extravagance. Geothermal heating and cooling for the entire estate. Tesla Powerwall arrays and full rooftop solar farms that can take the property off-grid. Water reclamation systems that recycle greywater for irrigating the vast, manicured grounds. The wealth is so immense it can afford to be environmentally conscientious on a massive, private scale. 4. The view as a tradable commodity. In Vancouver, the view is the central organizing principle. The architecture is often secondary to the panorama. Billionaires pay multi-million-dollar premiums for specific, unimpeded sightlines. A direct, frontal view of the North Shore Mountains. A perfect, sweeping arc from the Lions Gate Bridge to Vancouver Island. Or the coveted city, mountain, and water trifecta. Real estate deals have collapsed because a pre-sale condo tower was proposed that would shave 10% off the sunset view from a Point Grey Road mansion. This commodification of a natural vista turns beauty into a private asset, hoarded and defended with legal teams and unlimited funds. But this phenomenon is not without its severe, and some would say catastrophic, consequences. The transformation of entire neighborhoods, like Point Grey, the Crescent on Vancouver Island, and Belmont Avenue in West Vancouver, into fortified, often empty, billionaire enclaves has gutted community cohesion. These are not neighborhoods of barking dogs and backyard barbecues. They are collections of sovereign entities, silent for most of the year, erupting into life only when the private jet touches down at Vancouver International Airport. This has exacerbated a profound housing affordability crisis, turning the city into a tale of two realities: the insulated, sky-high world inside the compound walls, and the straining, increasingly desperate city outside them, where teachers, nurses, and service workers cannot dream of owning a home. Vancouver's billionaire mansions, therefore, are more than just next-level real estate. They are the physical manifestation of 21st-century global inequality, the endpoint of capital flight seeking a beautiful, stable refuge. They represent the ultimate privatization of what was once considered public joy: the view, the clean air, the safety. The city's postcard beauty remains, but it is increasingly framed not by public parkland, but by the unblinking, bulletproof glass of a private fortress. This is not merely a change in architectural taste. It is a fundamental recalibration of the city's soul, from a shared paradise to a luxury commodity, one panoramic billion-dollar bunker at a time. The shimmering glass and concrete fortresses of Vancouver's billionaire class are not mere isolated curiosities. They are active agents shaping the city's economic destiny, social fabric, and very identity. To see them only as symbols of wealth is to miss their profound impact. They have created a parallel city, a shadow city, operating under different rules, with different rhythms, and casting a long, deep shadow over the Vancouver that exists beyond their gated drives. This second part explores the consequences of this next-level wealth, the growing backlash, and the uncertain future of a global city struggling to remain livable for the very people who give it life. The hollowing out, neighborhoods as seasonal museums. Walk down certain streets in Point Grey or the British properties in the off-season. The silence is eerie. No children playing, no residents gardening, no lights on in the evenings. These are lights-off neighborhoods where occupancy rates can plummet outside the summer and Christmas seasons. The homes are not lived in, they are parked assets. This phenomenon, driven by absentee owners dubbed snowwashing for how money is cleaned through Canadian real estate, has a cascading effect. Local businesses suffer from inconsistent patronage. Community associations lose active members. Public schools in these wealthy districts sometimes face under-enrollment from local residents, while being overcrowded from families in denser, more affordable areas commuting in. The social ecosystem withers, transforming vibrant communities into beautifully manicured, seasonal museums of architecture, devoid of communal heartbeat. The affordability chasm, a generation priced out. The most explosive consequence is, of course, on housing affordability. Vancouver consistently ranks among the least affordable cities in the world. While multiple factors contribute, geographic constraints, zoning, low interest rates historically, the role of ultra-luxury, capital preservation buying is undeniable. It establishes a new stratospheric price ceiling. When a teardown on a standard lot sells for $20 million because a billionaire plans a $40 million compound, it resets the value for every comparable property in the area. This trickle-down effect of luxury real estate inflates values far beyond the means of local incomes. The city has become a real estate stock exchange, where homes are traded as financial instruments by global players, disconnecting prices from local wages. The result is a generation of young professionals, artists, and essential workers, the people who create the city's culture and run its services, facing a lifetime of renting or leaving altogether, creating a slow-burning brain drain. The cultural shift, from West Coast chill to luxury service economy. The influx of extreme wealth has recalibrated Vancouver's culture. The city's famed West Coast chill, a low-key, outdoorsy, egalitarian vibe, is under pressure. A robust luxury service economy has sprung up to cater exclusively to this class. High-end concierge doctors making house calls, private jet concierges at YVR, bespoke security firms, and elite landscape architects who source century-old Japanese maples for six-figure sums. This creates jobs, but of a specific, dependent kind. Simultaneously, a subtle social stratification hardens. Public spaces like parks and beaches remain shared, but private clubs, the Arbutus Club, the Vancouver Club, and exclusive, invitation-only events become the real hubs of social and business networking for this tier. The city risks developing a dual citizenship, one for the asset-holding global elite and one for the income-earning local resident. The political firestorm, taxes, empty homes, and public backlash. The public and political response has evolved from curiosity to frustration to outright policy warfare. Vancouver has been a laboratory for interventions aimed at the symptom, high prices, if not always the root cause, global capital flows. The empty homes tax, EHT, and BC's speculation and vacancy tax, SVT. Pioneered by Vancouver, these taxes aim to punish absentee ownership by levying an annual fee, 3% for EHT, on homes deemed not to be a principal residence or rented out. While successful in bringing some units to the rental market, billionaires often simply pay the tax as a minor cost of doing business, a multi-million-dollar licensing fee for asset parking. The foreign buyer's tax and school tax on high-value homes. These taxes attempt to cool demand from non-residents and extract revenue from the ultra-valuable property. Again, for the truly wealthy, these are often hurdles, not barriers. They have, however, contributed to a slowdown at the very top end of the market and fueled a political narrative of taking action. The mansion tax debate. The most pointed proposal is a progressive property tax, where the value above a certain threshold, e.g., $5 million, is taxed at a significantly higher rate. This directly targets the billionaire mansions. The battle over this is fierce, framed by proponents as fairness and by opponents as punishing success and potentially driving away investment. The billionaire's rebuttal: philanthropy and economic contribution. The wealthy elite and their advocates offer a counter-narrative. They point to the substantial philanthropic contributions many make to local hospitals, VGH, BC Children's, universities, UBC, SFU, and cultural institutions, the art gallery, the symphony. They argue their investments create high-skilled jobs in construction, architecture, and luxury services. They pay enormous property tax bills, even at current rates, which fund city services. In essence, they argue they are net contributors to the city's prosperity and cultural capital, and that targeting them is short-sighted and economically damaging. This sets up a classic tension. Is the social cost of hollowed-out neighborhoods and generational exclusion worth the philanthropic and tax revenue benefits? The future: fortress city or rebalanced paradise? Vancouver stands at a crossroads. The next-level mansion is a fact of its landscape. The question is whether it will become the defining feature. Scenario 1. The fortress city consolidates. Policies fail to meaningfully redirect the market. The billionaire enclaves become more fortified, more disconnected. The city center becomes a playground and service hub for the global elite, with a dwindling middle class. Vancouver becomes a portfolio city, a beautiful, stable, but socially sterile entry in the global investment ledger. Scenario 2. The backlash succeeds. Aggressive taxation, stricter residency requirements, and perhaps even caps on single lot sizes or building footprints begin to dampen the hyperluxury market. Policy focuses intensely on building middle-income housing and protecting rental stock. The city makes a conscious, difficult turn towards reprioritizing residents over capital, accepting a potential slowdown in certain types of investment. Scenario 3. The hybrid model. The city stratifies completely. The waterfront and View Mountains become an archipelago of billionaire compounds. The rest of the city densifies dramatically, with tower-filled corridors housing a renting class who service the economy. The postcard beauty becomes a backdrop visible only from public parks and the windows of high-rises, a shared spectacle, but not a shared landscape. Vancouver's billionaire mansions are more than just homes. They are the epicenter of a global urban dilemma. They represent the ultimate triumph of capital mobility over local community, of privacy over participation, of the view as a private asset versus a public good. The city's battle is not just about housing prices. It is a fight for its soul. Will it remain a living, breathing city for its citizens, or will it complete its transformation into the world's most beautiful safe deposit box? The answer is being written in the glass, steel, and soaring property values of every next-level mansion that rises against its postcard-perfect sky. Beyond the silent, guarded streets and the soaring glass walls of Vancouver's billionaire enclaves lies a hidden world of global supply chains, astronomical art markets, and ecological contradictions that define the true next level of luxury. To fully understand these estates, we must move past the real estate listings and examine the international architects who design them, the priceless, often secretive collections they house, and the staggering, yet cleverly masked, environmental impact of maintaining these private paradises. This is where the story of Vancouver's billionaire mansions intersects with the global flows of capital, culture, and carbon, revealing a complex web of consumption that challenges the city's green self-image. The Starchitect signature: buying a global brand, not just a home. When a billionaire chooses an architect for their Vancouver compound, they are not hiring a local draftsman. They are commissioning a global brand. The chosen firms are legends, whose names carry more weight than the materials they use. Firms like Bolin Sywinski Jackson, known for the Apple Store aesthetic and private homes for tech giants. Pritzker Prize winners like Shai Druban or Jean Nouvel, who bring avant-garde, sculptural forms. Discreet, ultra-exclusive European studios that operate entirely on referral, with no public portfolio. These architects sell a narrative of exclusive genius. The process is shrouded in secrecy, protected by ironclad NDAs. Local Vancouver architecture firms are often relegated to the role of architect of record, handling the mundane details of permits and construction codes, while the Starchitects team dictates the visionary design. This creates a surreal urban fabric. Neighborhoods like Point Grey or the British properties become open-air museums of global architectural trends, where homes reflect the sensibilities of New York, Zurich, or Tokyo more than the West Coast vernacular. The billionaire doesn't just get a house. They acquire a piece of architectural history and a permanent connection to a global creative elite. The private museum, art, antiquities, and the warehouse aesthetic. Step inside, and the minimalism reveals its purpose. The vast, white-walled rooms with concrete floors are not empty. They are curated galleries. This warehouse or gallery aesthetic is a deliberate stage for assets that are both beautiful and immensely valuable. Blue-chip art is a financial instrument. The walls are lined with works by Gerhard Richter, Agnes Martin, or Christopher Wool. These are not casual purchases. They are strategic acquisitions managed by international art advisors. A single painting can be worth more than the land it hangs on. The homes feature climate control systems rivaling the Vancouver art galleries, with precise humidity and temperature controls to preserve these investments. Some estates include a dedicated, secure viewing room for the most sensitive pieces, accessible only by the owner and their insurance appraisers. The shadow market in cultural heritage. A darker undercurrent involves antiquities and cultural artifacts. While Canada has laws against importing illegally obtained artifacts, the discreet, private nature of these homes makes them potential endpoints for the gray market in rare Asian ceramics, Mesopotamian relics, or indigenous artifacts from other regions. Lacking the transparency of a public museum, these private collections can obscure provenance and act as a quiet warehouse for contested cultural wealth. The liquid assets, cellars and vaults. Below ground, the home reveals its role as a high-security bank. The wine cellar is a temperature and humidity-controlled portfolio of Romanée Conti and Screaming Eagle, each bottle an asset with a fluctuating market price. Adjacent, a true vault, often with a door rated for hours against intrusion, stores physical bullion, rare jewelry, and perhaps most importantly, digital cold wallets for cryptocurrency holdings. In an age of digital wealth, the mansion's most fortified room might protect nothing more than a sequence of cryptographic keys on a hardware wallet. The sustainability paradox. Green, technology, and colossal footprints. Here lies the most potent contradiction. These homes are often showcases of green technology, featuring geothermal heating, photovoltaic solar farms covering rooftops and lawns, and sophisticated water reclamation systems. They are presented as pinnacles of sustainable living. Yet, this is a masterclass in selective accounting. The embodied carbon, the total emissions from manufacturing materials and construction, is often staggering, and the operational reality belies the green label. The carbon cost of perfection. The extensive use of custom concrete, specially fabricated steel, and vast panes of laminated glass carries a huge carbon footprint. The desire for unique materials means sourcing marble from Italy, timber from centuries-old European forests, and specialized metals from Germany, multiplying transportation emissions. Energy gluttons in efficient clothing. Despite solar panels, the energy demand is monumental. Consider the power needed for 24/7 climate control for art and wine, non-negotiable, server racks for the smart home AI and security systems, heating massive interior volumes and outdoor amenities, pools, spas, driveway snowmelt systems, and lighting the extensive grounds. The renewable systems often only offset a fraction of this relentless consumption, especially during Vancouver's rainy, dark winters, making them heavily reliant on the grid. The illusion of natural landscaping. The grounds are an ecological paradox. They present an image of lush, natural beauty, but are highly engineered biomes. Transplanting mature trees requires enormous equipment and energy. Maintaining non-native, thirsty lawns and ornamental gardens in a region with seasonal water scarcity requires immense irrigation, even if using recycled greywater. This pristine nature is a resource-intensive simulation. The invisible workforce, the people behind the walls. These estates generate a hidden economy of specialized, discrete labor. The builders. During construction, a small army of the city's top tradespeople works alongside niche specialists, experts in installing bulletproof glass, acoustic paneling, or integrated home automation, who are flown in from abroad. The keepers. Once occupied, the home requires a permanent staff. This goes beyond a housekeeper and gardener. It includes a property manager, a de facto CEO, a sommelier to manage the cellar, a horticulturalist for the landscapes, and an IT security manager to defend the digital perimeter. These employees often live in separate staff quarters on the estate or commute from distant, affordable suburbs, embodying the extreme economic dichotomy their work sustains. Conclusion: the ultimate commodification of place. Vancouver's billionaire mansions are the endpoint of a global process. The transformation of a city's natural and social capital into a privatized luxury commodity. They are not residences in a traditional sense. They are multifunctional wealth platforms, part museum, part bank vault, part environmental bubble, part architectural trophy. They leverage Vancouver's postcard beauty as a scenic amenity while employing vast resources to insulate their owners from the city's social realities, its housing crisis, its straining public services, its communal rhythms. They represent a paradox, the pinnacle of human design and technology applied not to solve collective problems, but to create the perfect private escape from them. The next level is not just bigger pools or more exotic materials. It is a philosophical shift towards absolute autonomy. These homes answer the question, what do you build when you have transcended national boundaries, market fluctuations, and even ecological limits? You build a sovereign microstate. Vancouver, with its stable governance and stunning geography, has become the preferred host for these microstates. The city's global reputation as a beautiful paradise is now inextricably, and perhaps permanently, intertwined with its new role as a secure gallery for the global elite's most prized possessions, their wealth, their art, and their solitude. The postcard is still beautiful, but its price tag is now measured in billions, and its true cost is borne by the city that lives in its shadow. Vancouver isn't just a postcard anymore. It's a war zone. A silent, beautiful, incredibly expensive war zone. On one side, you have the global billionaires, people who see our city as the world's most beautiful safety deposit box. On the other side, you have the rest of us, the nurses, the teachers, the baristas, the artists, the students, the families who were born here or chose to build a life here, and who are now watching that life become impossible. This isn't a cold war. It's getting hot. This final chapter is about the fight back. It's about the new laws that are like financial grenades, the guerrilla tactics of pissed-off citizens, and the ultimate question: can a city that runs on politeness actually stand up and tell the richest people on earth, enough? The government gets mean, policy as a weapon. For decades, Vancouver welcomed money, no questions asked. Those days are over. The local and provincial governments have stopped rolling out the red carpet and started laying down tripwires. The empty homes tax, EHT, this wasn't a suggestion, it was a declaration. If your house sits empty for more than 6 months, you pay 3% of its assessed value, every single year, for a $20 million investment property. That's a $600,000 annual bill just for leaving it dark. Is it a nuisance fee for a billionaire? Often, yes. But it's also a signal. The message is clear. This city is not your storage locker. It forced over 4.0 empty condos and houses back into the rental market. It's not a solution, but it was the first shot fired. The speculation and vacancy tax, SVT. The province joined the fight. This tax is more aggressive, targeting not just foreign owners but also satellite families and out-of-province speculators. It's a complex, bureaucratic nightmare designed to make owning a vacant home in BC so annoying and expensive that you'd rather just sell it or rent it out. It's policy designed to harass wealth into behaving. The mansion tax on steroids, the school tax surcharge, this one really stung. The province slapped an additional annual property tax on homes valued over $3 million. The rate scales up. For the $30.40 million mega mansions, it can mean an extra $200,000 per year in tax. This isn't a one-time transfer tax. It's a permanent, yearly reminder that your private paradise has a social cost. The outcry from wealthy neighborhoods was deafening. They called it a wealth tax and punishment for success. The government didn't back down. The money, in theory, funds schools and services, the very things that make the city livable for the people who can't afford the view. The zoning nuclear option, ending the single-family fortress. This is the biggest, most radical move of all. Cities are taking neighborhoods zoned exclusively for one giant house per lot, the billionaire's playground, and rewriting the rulebook. They're allowing duplexes, triplexes, townhomes, and small apartment buildings by right. This isn't about adding a basement suite. This is about dismantling the economic logic of the $20 million teardown. If a 10,000 SQ-FT lot can now hold three $3 million townhomes instead of one $30 million mansion, the land's value shifts. It's a direct, frontal assault on the low-density geography of extreme wealth. It says the need for housing for citizens trumps the desire for a private compound. The people's rebellion, shame, sunlight, and stickers. While the government fights with tax forms, regular Vancouverites are waging a street-level insurrection. It's creative, it's angry, and it's effective. Vacant home vigilantes, activists and bloggers have turned detective. They scour water and electricity usage data, which is often public. They do night counts of dark windows, and they publish addresses and photos. They give tour to journalists. See this $45 million modern castle on Belmont. The lights haven't been on in 18 months. They put up signs on the empty lawns. A family could live here. In a city that values discretion, this public shamming is a potent weapon. It turns a private asset into a public scandal. Housing as a human right, not an ETF. The slogan, housing for people, not profit, is everywhere. It's on yard signs in Kitsilano, stickers on lampposts in Commercial Drive, and chanted at City Hall meetings. This sentiment has gone mainstream. It's no longer a fringe activist position. It's what your barista, your nurse, and your kid's teacher believe. This creates a social and political atmosphere where defending megamansions is toxic. Politicians who side with developers over density are getting voted out. Protest as public art. Activists have used projectors to blast messages onto the blank, windowless walls of point gray mansions. Whose city? Our city. Or empty HOMES equals broken city. They organize picnic protests on the sprawling, empty lawns of vacant properties. They use humor and spectacle to break through the wall of silence and privacy that these homes represent. It's hard to feel like a discreet global elite when your fortress is being used as a movie screen for a protest message. The billionaire counterattack, lawyers, loopholes, and generosity. The ultra-wealthy aren't just taking this lying down. They're fighting back with the tools they know best: money, law, and influence. The lawsuit brigade. Any new tax or zoning bylaw is immediately challenged in court by teams of the most expensive constitutional and property law firms in the country. The strategy is delay, delay, delay. Tie the government up in years of litigation, drain municipal resources, and hope the political will fades before the court rules. It's a war of attrition, and they have deeper pockets. The compound con. Clever architects and lawyers are already designing around the new rules. If the city says one house per lot, they create multiple lots on paper. They build a main residence, a guest cottage, and a recreational pavilion, each on its own legal parcel, but connected by subterranean tunnels or hidden garden paths. They are masters at finding the seam in the law. Philanthropy as a shield. This is the oldest trick in the book. Facing growing public anger, a billionaire will make a multi-million-dollar, headline-grabbing donation to BC Children's Hospital, St. Paul's Foundation, or the University of British Columbia. It's a masterstroke. It paints them as a benevolent community builder, not a wealth hoarder. It puts critics in an awkward position. How can you attack someone who just gave $10 million to sick kids? It's a calculated investment in social license, a way to sanitize their presence and silence opposition with generosity. Two visions for Vancouver, a city for whom? We are at a fork in the road. The path we take will define Vancouver for the next century. Path 1. The VIP Lounge City, the Geneva Monaco model. The billionaire's vision wins. West Vancouver, Point Grey, and Shaughnessy become permanent, low-density preserves for the global elite. The downtown core becomes a luxury service station. High-end boutiques, private members' clubs, five-star restaurants, and concierge medical clinics. The middle class is completely exiled to the distant suburbs, commuting for hours. The city becomes breathtaking, orderly, clean, safe, and soulless. It functions as a beautiful, stable park for the world's mobile capital. It's a gilded cage for the rich and a distant dream for everyone else. The postcard is perfect, but the community is gone. Path 2. The reclaimed city, the Barcelona-Melbourne model. The people's vision wins. The policy weapons work. Speculative money cools. The zoning changes take hold, and neighborhoods become denser, more vibrant, and mixed income. Tall, slender townhomes and mid-rise apartments appear on streets that once had only palaces. The billionaire mansions remain as artifacts, but they are no longer the defining feature. The city prioritizes public transit, community centers, parks, and affordable housing co-ops. It's a city where a teacher can live a 20-minute bike ride from work, where a family can afford a townhouse near a good school, where the energy comes from street life and community, not just from capital accumulation. It's messy, it's noisy, it's alive. It shares its beauty. The final verdict, a view with a soul. The fight over Vancouver's billionaire mansions is about more than real estate. It's a proxy war for the future of every desirable city on Earth. Are we building places for human life, or are we building high-security portfolios with nice weather? The mountains aren't going anywhere. The ocean will still sparkle. But a city is more than its geology. A city is its people. The true next level for Vancouver won't be a new, taller glass wall on a cliffside. The true next level will be deciding, once and for all, that the most valuable view is not the one you buy, but the one you build together. The battle is on. And for the first time, the people with the most to lose are not just complaining. They're fighting back. The soul of the postcard is at stake. We have mapped the physical dimensions of Vancouver's billionaire estates, the architecture, the security, the politics, the environmental toll. But to truly understand the next level, we must venture into the psychological dimension. What kind of person builds, or buys, a $75 million fortified palace on a cliff? What are they seeking beyond square footage and a view? The answer reveals that these homes are not just expressions of wealth, but profound expressions of fear, a specific kind of status anxiety, and a deep, often unacknowledged, loneliness. They are psychological fortresses as much as physical ones, designed to solve problems that money alone cannot fix. The architecture of paranoia, security as a core value. The security features of these homes are not just practical, they are symbolic. The blank walls, the biometric scanners, the drone detection systems, they broadcast a message of profound mistrust. This isn't just about fearing paparazzi or a random break-in. This is the mindset of the global ultra-high net worth individual, UHNWI, for whom the world is divided into two categories, threats and assets. The threat matrix. For this class, threats are multifaceted. They include kidnapping risk for themselves or family, corporate espionage, a rival stealing data from their home network, cyber extortion, aggressive journalists, social media shamming, and even the potential for political upheaval in their home countries. Their Vancouver mansion is a panic room on a civic scale, a geographical escape hatch from global instability. The disappearing act. The ultimate luxury for many is not being seen. The design ensures they can live for months without ever encountering a delivery person, a neighbor, or a stranger's gaze. This erasure of the public self is a response to a world where visibility equals vulnerability. The home becomes a witness protection program for the hyper-famous and hyper-rich. The new language of status, beyond bigger. Among billionaires, a simple bigger mansion stopped being impressive decades ago. The status game has evolved into esoteric, hyper-specific competitions. The invisible amenity arms race. It's not about who has the bigger pool. It's about who has the most technologically advanced water purification system, that makes their pool water taste like alpine spring water. It's not about a wine cellar, but about a computer-controlled vault that perfectly replicates the subterranean conditions of a specific hillside in Bordeaux. Status is about possessing the most bespoke, least visible solution to a problem nobody else knew they had. Cultural capital as currency. Having a private gallery with a few Warhols is old news. The new status is in patronage and access. Who has commissioned an original, site-specific installation from a famously reclusive artist like James Turrell, master of light and space, for their entryway? Who has a direct line to the director of the Venice Biennale to get a preview of the next big thing? The home becomes a private museum that positions the owner not as a buyer, but as a peer of the global cultural elite. The Green Merit Badge. In environmentally conscious Vancouver, the ultimate bragging right is a net positive energy home that sells power back to the grid. It's a status symbol that deflects criticism. It says, "My footprint is not just neutral, it's beneficial." This allows for immense consumption while wearing the mantle of a planetary savior, a powerful psychological shield against the guilt or public ire that might otherwise accompany such opulence. The psychology of the view, conquest and isolation. The panoramic view is the central fetish of the Vancouver mansion. Psychologically, it serves two conflicting purposes. The God's eye view, a feeling of mastery. Owning the view is the ultimate act of symbolic conquest. From their floor-to-ceiling windows, the billionaire looks down upon the city, the sea, the mountains. They are literally and figuratively above it all. This perspective reinforces a worldview of control, separation, and supremacy. The city becomes a diorama, its problems small and distant. It is the visualization of their position in the global hierarchy. Gilded cage, the loneliness of the peak. This same view creates a profound paradox of isolation. They can see everything but are part of nothing. The neighborhood below is silent, populated by other people in identical fortresses. There is no street life, no spontaneous interaction, no community hum. This can lead to a deep, unspoken loneliness, a feeling of being marooned on an island of their own making. The very thing they purchased, privacy and remove, becomes the source of a sterile existence. Family members, especially children and non-working spouses, can suffer from a lack of authentic social connection, living in a beautiful, lonely snow globe. The legacy build versus the liquid asset. Billionaire buyers fall into two broad psychological profiles that dictate their real estate choices. The legacy builder. This buyer sees the estate as a permanent family citadel, a headquarters for generations. They invest in the land, the craftsmanship, the infrastructure. They may get involved in local, though discreet, philanthropy. The house is an extension of their dynasty's identity. Their psychology is rooted in permanence, lineage, and establishing a rooted seat of power in a stable country. The liquid asset holder. For this buyer, the mansion is just another line item in a global portfolio of trophy assets. A yacht, a jet, a stable of racehorses. It's a place to be used occasionally, but its primary purpose is to store value and occasionally entertain for business. They have no emotional connection to Vancouver. Their psychology is one of hypermobility, asset diversification, and fungibility. The house is a beautiful, usable token. If the market shifts or political winds change, they will sell without a second thought. The staff dynamic, the illusion of a normal home. To combat the inherent isolation and manage the complex fortress, an entire staff lives within or orbits the estate. This creates a unique, feudal-like psychological dynamic. The staff are paid for discretion and efficiency, not companionship. The billionaire family lives in a bubble where every need is anticipated, every problem solved before it arises. This removes all friction, but also all agency and genuine human interaction. It can create a distorted reality for children who grow up believing that meals simply appear, messes vanish by magic, and that the people who surround them are paid to be pleasant. It is a life of immense comfort built on a foundation of profoundly asymmetrical human relationships. Conclusion: the price of the peak. The psychology of Vancouver's billionaire mansion dweller is a study in extremes. They have achieved the ultimate material dream: safety, privacy, beauty, and control, only to find that dream can be a lonely one. Their homes are engineered to keep the world out, but in doing so, they also wall out the messy, vibrant, connective tissue of city life. They have purchased a view that signifies total mastery, yet from that vantage point, they are observers, not participants. The next level is therefore not just a matter of cost or design. It is a psychological state. It is the belief that with enough money, one can engineer a perfect environment, free from threat, annoyance, and the unpredictability of others. But the Vancouver mansion reveals the flaw in this logic. In building a perfect refuge from the world, you inevitably build yourself out of it. The most priceless thing, a sense of belonging, remains forever just outside the bulletproof glass. We have reached the end of the Vancouver story, but this is where its true significance begins. The saga of the city's billionaire mansions transcends local gossip or real estate analysis. It has become a global archetype, a stark case study downloaded by urban planners, politicians, and activists from London to Auckland, from Miami to Lisbon. Vancouver's experience is no longer just about a few neighborhoods on a pretty coast. It is a living textbook on the urban consequences of unfettered global wealth. This final chapter steps back to analyze the aftermath, the hard lessons learned, and the profound, unsettling question Vancouver now poses to every desirable city on Earth. When the world's money wants a piece of your paradise, how much of your soul are you willing to sell to keep it? The blueprint of a crisis. How Vancouver wrote the modern playbook. Vancouver didn't invent foreign investment in real estate, but it became the perfect petri dish for its most extreme effects. Its journey created a step-by-step manual now seen playing out globally. Phase 1, the Gateway Investment, 1990s 2000s. High-rise condos, marketed overseas as secure, liquid assets in a stable, beautiful country. This established the city as a brand. Vancouver as a safe deposit box with a mountain view. Phase 2, the land grab, 2000s 2010s. Once the condo market was saturated, the logic moved to its inevitable conclusion. Secure the underlying land. Why own air when you can own dirt? This triggered the astronomical inflation of single-family lots in view corridors, detaching price from any local economic reality. Phase 3, the hollowing 2010s present. Neighborhoods cease to function socially. Community infrastructure, schools, cafes, parks, loses its user base. The area becomes a portfolio district, a collection of assets rather than homes. This creates a civic ghost town amidst staggering property values. Phase 4, the political reckoning, 2010s present. Public fury forces untested, aggressive policy interventions. The city becomes a laboratory for wealth deterrence, vacancy taxes, speculation taxes, and radical zoning reform. Vancouver transitioned from passive host to active combatant. This four-phase model is now a diagnostic tool. Any city seeing a rush of luxury condo marketing to overseas buyers is at phase 1. Vancouver's story shows exactly what phases 2, 3, and 4 look like. The ripple effect, how a point-gray mansion broke an entire region. The damage was never contained to the billionaire enclaves. It acted like an economic shockwave, distorting everything in its path. The domino collapse of affordability. As families were priced out of Vancouver proper, they moved to Burnaby, then Coquitlam, then Surrey, then Langley, then Abbotsford. Each wave brought bidding wars that shattered the local affordability of that community. A $50 million teardown in Point Grey directly caused a $100,000 price jump for townhomes in Maple Ridge, an hour's drive away. The crisis metastasized. The Great Generational Divide. Vancouver cleaved into two castes: the property-owning class, anyone who bought before 2010, and the property-locked class, everyone after. This divide created a profound social bitterness. It meant a barista and a software engineer could have the same income and the same rent, but if one had parents who helped with a down payment from sold property, their lives were on utterly different planets. Meritocracy broke against the wall of real estate. The erosion of the city's functionality. A city isn't just residences, it's an ecosystem. As housing costs exploded, the city began to lose its essential workers. Teachers, nurses, firefighters, restaurant staff, and tradespeople could no longer live near their jobs. Commutes stretched to 2 or 3 hours. Businesses struggled to hire. The social and economic engine of the city began to grind for lack of affordable human fuel. You can have the most beautiful city in the world, but if no one can afford to serve you coffee, fix your pipes, or teach your kids, it ceases to function. The Policy Lab report, what Vancouver's experiments taught us. The world watched as Vancouver threw policy spaghetti at the wall. Here, what stuck and what slid off. Taxes on emptiness and speculation, a moral victory, a partial solution. The empty homes tax, EHT, and speculation and vacancy tax, SVT, were groundbreaking. Their greatest success was changing the narrative and generating political will. They declared housing a right of use, not just an asset. Financially, they brought some units to market and raised revenue. But their limitation is stark. For the true global elite, a 3% annual tax is a management fee, not a deterrent. They punish the mid-level speculator more than the apex buyer. Zoning reform, the slow, structural surgery. Ending exclusive single-family zoning in neighborhoods like Dunbar and Kerrisdale is the most profound long-term move. It attacks the root problem, inefficient land use. However, it is infuriatingly slow. It will take 30 years to visibly transform these areas. The political backlash from existing homeowners, not just billionaires, but everyday people fearing change, is immense. Its success is a story for our children to judge. The power of shame, an underestimated weapon. The activists who compiled lists of empty mansions, who projected messages on their walls, who gave Ghost Home tour to the media, achieved something crucial. They won the story. They made vacancy and obscene wealth inequality a matter of public morality, not just economics. This cultural shift was the prerequisite for all the political action that followed. The billionaire's dilemma and the city's peril, a marriage of convenience. A critical, unresolved tension remains. Is this a permanent settlement or a temporary camp? The global ultra-rich are a fickle bunch. Their capital is mobile. If Vancouver's taxes become too onerous, or if the next stable, beautiful, English-speaking haven, perhaps in Portugal or Uruguay or a reinvented Dubai, offers better terms, the money could flow out as quickly as it flowed in. This leaves Vancouver with a terrifying prospect, a landscape littered with hyper-specialized, unsellable white elephants. What does the local market do with a 30,000 SQFT? Smart bunker on a cliff designed for a paranoid tech titan? These homes could become the ghost towns of tomorrow, decaying monuments to a vanished gold rush. Vancouver's ultimatum to the global city. For every mayor, every planner, every citizen of a livable city being eyed by global capital, Vancouver's experience delivers a brutal ultimatum. Define your purpose early. Are you a community for citizens or a parking platform for capital? You must choose, because the market will not choose community for you. Intervene before the fever sets in. Once prices detach from local incomes, the political and social costs of correction become astronomically high. Preventative policy is infinitely easier than curative surgery. Understand that wealth is not development. A soaring GDP and property tax base built on asset inflation is a mirage of prosperity. Real development is a thriving middle class, innovation, arts, and functional public services. Vancouver shows these two things can be mutually exclusive. Your greatest asset is your community's trust. Once people believe the game is rigged, that no amount of hard work grants access to a basic home, social cohesion evaporates. Rebuilding that trust is the hardest project of all. Epilogue, the new postcard. The postcard view of Vancouver, mountains, ocean, glassy skyline, now has a hidden caption. It reads, "This is what happens when global wealth falls in love with a place. Handle with extreme care." The billionaire mansions are permanent features now, like glacial erratics left behind by a receding economic ice age. They stand as cold, beautiful trophies to a specific moment in the early 21st century, when cities became the preferred asset class of a stateless elite. Vancouver's story is not one of defeat. It is a story of a city that, after a period of starry-eyed naivete, woke up and started fighting for itself. The battle is messy, imperfect, and far from over. But in that fight, Vancouver has given the world something more valuable than a warning, a glimpse of the resistance. It has shown that even the most beautiful place on earth must be willing to get its hands dirty, to write tough laws, and to confront powerful interests, all for the simple, radical idea that a city should, first and foremost, be a home for the people who make it live. The view from the cliff is spectacular, but the true victory will be ensuring there's still a city down below worth looking at, a city that belongs to its people, not just to their portfolios.